everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to episode 2 of Manic Pixie Dream Women.
We are your hosts, Miraya,
And Layla.
and this is a podcast where we talk about all things post-grad, entry into the industry, and the films that inspire us.
Yeah, and today we're specifically talking about one of Mariah's favorite movies,
When Harry Met Sally.
and also Nora Ephron, general ruminations in the industry.
And the death of rom-coms. As you can see today, we have headphones because we've learned
We've learned you
things.
need them.
We've learned a lot about podcasts.
Yeah,
And we
real
shall continue to learn.
try and try again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anywho, Layla, I thought maybe we could start every podcast from here on out talking about our last week's goals and how it went for us.
What a fantastic idea, Mariah.
Thank you so much, Layla.
So my goal from last week was on the book I'm working on. I've been doing a big edit of it, and the things I'm adding in just were really throwing me for a loop. As every writer knows, editing blows, and especially when it's a big edit structurally. And so that's what I've been doing. And so last week my goal was to figure it out because it was really just giving me trouble how to like rearrange it in a way that made sense. And you know what? I did. I figured it out, and I'm working on it steadily, and I feel really good about it. And obviously I have to like get feedback before I can be 100% confident. So I need to make sure people don't get confused within the narrative I've created. But I pulled it out, and I feel good.
I love that.
How about you?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know if you can hear through my voice or the sound of my mouth breathing. I'm a little bit under the weather. I got a little sick this week. And I did accomplish, I think aside from maybe one day, my goal of submitting on Actors Access every day, which honestly takes 5 minutes.
Woo!
So I think I built it up to be a bigger thing than it actually is in my head.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a good.
But doing something every day, like, that's not always easy, like, remembering the routine of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just a forgetful person.
So, as a writer, not an actor, I don't really get what Actors Access is.
Yeah.
What is it? I'm assuming it's just when you, like, submit your reel
Yeah.
and your headshot to, like, open calls.
Yeah, so it's basically just like a bunch of casting calls for different projects. It can be literally anything from an NYU student film to like a big budget SAG-AFTRA thing, but usually it's not because usually those go to agents directly. But it's just casting calls, and they usually ask for your headshot and reel. So you just click those two things. You have a little profile on Actors Access. And then hopefully a casting director will send you a message and want a reel, or not a reel. They'll want like a video audition from you, etc.
So you did that every day?
Yeah, so it's basically, I would say like every day you're able to filter it so it's breakdowns. That's what they're called, casting breakdowns that are fit for just you. So on my Actors Access it says like my age range I think is like 17 to 30, just so I could like see all of those things, even though I don't know about that. How old do you think I look?
I don't think you could go 30. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
don't
I'd buy
think I
you
could
as a
go
30-year-old.
Can I go 17?
I thought you were gonna say 70. I was like, well, no.
How dare you?
17, yes.
Okay.
I would take, I think even lower probably.
Really?
Just the way they cast in Hollywood too. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I would say probably 15 to 27.
Bye.
Wait, do mine.
Okay. Well, right now I'm only thinking of the way you look right now with makeup, but I feel like without makeup I could see like a 15 through, I say with certain makeup you could do 30.
I think I could. People already think I'm older than I am. People assume I'm 26.
Yeah. I think it's also your confidence and just your aura.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So mature.
You're a woman.
I'm a manic pixie dream woman.
Yeah. Anywho, so that's what Actors Access is.
So how often do you hear back? Like, are you like, did you hear back from any of the past week?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say it's like a 10-to-1 ratio of hearing back.
Typical with jobs in general.
I will say that I feel like a lot of people will just ask for you to do something for them. Like, will ask you to read something and like do a self-tape. and then you just like don't hear it. Like that ratio is even worse of like you submit a self-tape to someone. And for those of you who do not know, a self-tape is basically just an audition that you film in the comfort of your own home by yourself.
And it seems like it's very common now. Like, that's like the way to audition.
Yeah, I think because of COVID, self-tapes are the norm, and that was like a big part of the SAG strike was making sure it's a lot of unpaid labor self-tapes because you need to buy equipment for your own home, you need to get lighting, you need to get a tripod, and then it can take upwards of an hour to even film, and you need to find someone else to be a reader for the scene.
Well, and there's also such a difference in somebody's like presence in person.
100%.
Which I know, like, the whole point is like you're finding someone to be on a screen, but like, I don't know. I think it's almost like cutting them off at the knees because it's like already it's like not the environment you want to be seeing them in.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just so much quicker to just like go somewhere in person. You do the scene maybe like 2 or 3 times and then you leave.
Yeah.
Versus
It literally doesn't even make sense, like, efficiency wise.
No,
like to watch all those videos versus like just having people like file in and out.
I mean, I think for casting directors, it's efficient because you can literally watch like a second of it. You don't need to sit through like you don't have to be like.
But then
Hi,
where's the
how's
fun
it
in that?
going?"
It's like American. If I was a casting director, it'd be every day would just be like American Idol, where I'd be like, ugh, you suck. Next.
Bro, I feel like being casting director, having to watch the same scene
Yeah.
over and over and
Well, I
over
mean, I
again.
guess though, like the person really has to stand out. You know what I mean? Like that's just
for sure. Here's my advice for people who need to do self-tapes. Another big thing about self-tapes that's annoying is you have to memorize them. A lot of times, if it's your first audition and you're going in person,
they let you have the script.
Yeah, they let you have the sides, is what they're called, to read off of them. And you're not expected to memorize something until the callback, which makes more sense once they've narrowed people down. But I've gotten sides for a self-tape that are like 5 pages long.
Yeah.
And they want me to memorize it, which takes time, and then do it. And then you do it like 4 or 5 times.
So yeah, so we fulfilled our goals. High five.
Well, actually, so one of my goals was to finish my short that I was working on.
Yeah.
And I had work a lot the first half of the week. So I was like, oh, I'll just do it the second half of the week. I have like less than a page to write.
But then you get sick.
And then I like got so sick. I literally have no idea what it was. It wasn't COVID, but Wednesday I was totally fine in the morning. I had work until 3. And then I got home and I got tired. So I took a nap. And I woke up and it felt
sleepy.
Like, yeah, I was sleepy. And then I felt like I got hit by a freaking truck. I was like, it was weird though, because I never had a cough. I was just sniffly. I had a sore throat. And I was like so tired. Like I pretty much spent like 90% of Thursday asleep, which was crazy. I slept for 12 hours Thursday till Friday. I was determined to get rid of the sickness. And it was really nice because Thursday and Friday I had off of work. So I didn't have to worry about, like, I have a job where I can't just, like, I have no sick days. I just have to find someone to cover me, which is annoying. But anywho, so I didn't have work. So I was like, I'm going to drink literally the most liquid that a person has ever inhaled in their entire life. I'm going to sleep as much as possible. But what that meant was I wasn't doing work. And yesterday I, like, kind of had to force myself, like, all you will do today is relax and rest. And I had such a hard time with that yesterday because I was like, I set this goal for myself. It's not going to get done.
So why do you feel that like you can't ever give yourself time to like rest without working?
Yeah, I feel like because we're at this place in our career where we need to make it happen. It's like this hustle mentality of like, if I'm not working every possible second that I can to make it happen, then I'm like a failure.
Then I'm not trying hard enough.
Yeah. And it's like a day. I feel like time is going by so fast since we graduated. I don't know if you have this sensation, but I feel like a day is such a big amount of time to like not be doing anything, especially if it's like my day off of my job. Then that means that it's like a whole day that I was supposed to have.
I definitely feel the same way too, because like on weekends,
Yeah.
I work like I work 9 to 6:30 every day at my job.
Yeah.
So like I'm there every single day. And then on the weekends, I love like just sleeping in, lounging about, like doing nothing and resting. And even then still like I'll like, I'll have time to go write and I'll try to do so, but like when I don't, I feel so like hard on myself and so down about myself because I'm like, this is the time to be doing this, and like what
Yeah.
are you doing, sleeping? But at the same time in the back of my head I'm like, well, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah.
Like I work so much,
Yeah.
like literally like just physically being at places and waking up at a certain amount of time, that like that time is really important to me too.
Yeah.
It just sucks that like you can't have both.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something that like I think is like a huge debate that a lot of artists have is like, is it smarter to take a 9 to 5 and then work the rest of the time, or is it better to have like a part-time job, whatever? And like for me personally, last fall when I had a full-time 9 to 5 job, I had to leave because I was like, I have no energy to do
Yeah.
any of the stuff that I want to do. That being said, it was specifically a 9 to 5 job where it was like very physically taxing because I was a production assistant just running back and forth all day.
Yeah.
So I think that especially like at NYU, there is such a focus on having a hustle mentality over taking care of yourself.
I think too because like it feels like everyone's like, oh, like if I'm 30 and I'm not insanely like a household name or
Yeah.
like insanely successful in some way, then what's the point?
Yeah.
And it's like
And
you have more time than that.
that's true. I think I've just also been like, it's been ingrained in me because basically, so as I talked about last week, I started off at NYU as an acting major. And the specific, so NYU, it's very unique in terms of a BFA program because rather than having like one school of thought when it comes to acting, I think there are maybe 6 or 7 acting studios that you're placed into one of them after your audition. So I was placed into the Atlantic Acting School, which I loved. I loved Atlantic so much. But I think, and I don't think this is unique to Atlantic at all. I think this is very much just an NYU mentality thing. Is if you missed class, it was like the end of the world. It felt like. And so we literally, at the end of every year, we would have assemblies where the students who never missed class would stand up and their names would be said out loud and everyone would clap for them, which I think is just awful. Because, okay, now I'm really going on a tangent. I can't speak. Because my friend, so I had a friend, she had an allergic reaction and started going into anaphylactic shock one of our first classes of freshman year. And I was with her.
Slacker.
No, but like literally.
Yeah.
And I was with her and one of my best friends, Emma, was also with her. And we took her to the hospital because she literally was going to freaking die. And we needed to get her into a car and get her to the emergency room. And Emma, my friend, she is like the hardest working person I know. Like she always has like a bajillion things going on. She didn't miss a single class other than that one class where she was taking her close friend to the hospital, and she didn't get called up at the end of the year assembly even though she never missed another class. And so I feel like that just goes to show like NYU has this.
They put it all on you. They say if
Yeah.
you're not gonna, if like if you don't make it, it's because you didn't show up or work hard enough.
Yeah, exactly.
When it's like we're overtaxing ourselves.
Yeah, it's like what are NYU's values? Like, is it taking care of your friends? Is it your health and wellness, or is it showing up to class and having some sort of, I don't know.
Like there are other things outside of. I think it's very easy for our like in the entertainment industry, for the career and the career you want to be the only focus in your life. Like very
Yeah.
much so. Like it's all I think about. It's my Roman Empire.
Yeah, it is my Roman Empire.
So it's like I get why it becomes so all consuming because it is the most important thing in our lives.
yeah,
And not that it shouldn't be, but just like it needs to be like we need a different ratio, different cutting of the pie chart.
Yeah, and I will say, I don't think this is also just an NYU thing. I think this is
Yeah,
just an industry thing as well
totally.
because the job that I just talked about a year ago, I got COVID and I we had weekly COVID testings because it was a production and I tested negative, but I had this awful cough. Like I was coughing like a crazy person, but we were understaffed. And so a lot of pressure was put on me to come into work even though I was really freaking ill, and I came in and I was like, I can't even ask off because everyone's going to be so mad at me. And I truly think that if I wasn't there, they would have, I don't know, berated me or not understood. And it wasn't until I then tested positive that weekend that people like let me
Yeah, I
have some
mean, in that
time
way,
off.
COVID, like, it kind of gave everybody, like, oh, I guess we can't keep you around because you're positive for COVID.
Yeah, but you would think that after a freaking pandemic that people would understand the severity of like just people who are sick coming
Yeah,
into the
not
workplace.
just COVID. So,
Anywho,
actually, though, in my NYU experience, I didn't have quite the level, I mean, that I have even now or that you describe as your experience in school of feeling like I need to be. I mean, I did have this feeling, but I was constantly working in the sense that, like, so I didn't have class one year Mondays or Fridays. So I only had classes like, and there was like three classes or something, like Tuesdays and Thursdays and like one a day. So I had endless free time and no friends.
yeah.
I was very depressed. But during this time, I wrote my first full script. That like it didn't, and I was in a class for it at the time. I wasn't yet in Tisch. I was just in a class for screenwriting, and the thing was not to like the goal of the class was not to write a full script. It was just to like work on bits of it. But I was like, no, I'm gonna write a full script because like I need to. Like I need
Yeah.
to, especially because I was like trying to apply to Tisch. So I needed to like really impress everybody. Was my thought. I wrote this full script, so I mean, it was terrible, but I had like endless free time to do that. And that's the thing is like it's different when you have the time.
Yeah. 100%. That's why, I mean, we talked about this last week, but it's like for our friends who don't have to have a job and who are fully working on their art, like,
It's
God
definitely
bless.
it's in a profession, like it's why so many people in it are already in it via their families in some way because it's like it's not a profession meant for like working class people. And
Yeah.
that's intentional.
Yeah, 100%. So my roommate, Leanne, she is non-equity and she's trying to go into theater. And I've been talking about this a lot with her the past couple weeks because the way non-equity performers, and equity is the union for theater performers, if you didn't know. Um, Leanne went to a bunch of auditions this past week that were equity auditions. And the way that non equity performers can even try to get a chance of being seen at these auditions is there's basically a literal physical sheet that someone makes and puts on the audition door. And sometimes it can start at 1 a.m., sometimes they start at 4 a.m. the day of the audition. And then non equity performers just come and like write their name down. And then that's just like the little sign up sheet. And so, for example, I'm sure Leanne won't mind that I'm telling the story. Yesterday, Leanne had to go to an audition. She went at 4 a.m. She wrote her name down. She was number 8 in line. And she waited there because whenever, I don't know, I guess she stayed from like 4 to 8 a.m.
Are
But
there not like time slots listed or just like a
there
random
are
list?
for equity performers, but
Mm.
because she's non equity, basically, I guess it's like the same thing as SAG, as they have to audition everyone who is equity who is in the union first before they can see anyone who's non equity,
Okay.
which is the same with SAG. You have to like prove that you like went through everyone who was SAG first before you started looking at non SAG people. Anywho, so she got there at 4 a.m. At 8 a.m., the casting directors came out and they were like, yeah, we're definitely going to see non equity people today. So Leanne stayed from 4 a.m. until I think 3 p.m.
My
But then
God.
randomly, dozens of equity performers were walk ins. They just came in, they didn't have time slots. And so the casting directors were like, sorry, actually, we're not going to be able to see you guys. And then
Oh
Leanne had to
my
go
gosh.
straight from 4 a.m. to 3 p.m., 11 hours, to her job as a waitress from 5 p.m. until 11:30 p.m.
Yeah.
So,
It's not, it's what I'm saying. It's like, it's, I don't even understand how people,
yeah, it's so,
they make it so difficult for anybody not with a toe in the door.
yeah, 100%. It's just like exhausting. Like, it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, in terms of your wellness, it's not,
Sustainable?
yeah, it's not sustainable. Exactly.
Yay.
Yeah. There you go. Mind link. But yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy.
Which is why so many people like give up on it. It's such an easy
Yeah.
profession to be like, okay, like I literally can't afford to keep trying to do this. Like I need to at some point like
Yeah.
try to pursue something else so I can make like a livable income
Yeah, and if
like
you
try to
don't
buy a
have,
house.
yeah, if you don't have support, it's like,
Like this is why so many of us like wait so long to have families.
yeah.
Because it's like, well, we're not going to be able to afford putting meals on the table for a very long time.
I think about that all the time where I'm like, how am I going to be able to buy a house one day? How am I going to literally, like, the dream is to be able, like, to have a family that I can support. Like, I
Yeah.
literally can't even imagine that. It's crazy.
Mine is more home related. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily dream of supporting children.
That's fair.
But I mean, I fully am just like, I don't know if I'll ever have, like, hopefully I'll have a
Yeah.
house.
I mean, the dream for
The
me,
future's unwritten, as Natasha Bedingfield would say.
queen. But yeah, that's just been on my mind.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if you don't have mental health and physical health, you can't have any sort of career. And I think you're so right that, like, the industry was created in a way and is sustained in a way where, like, it doesn't want us to have mental
No,
or
it's
physical
meant to
health.
keep the people who are in it in and keep
Yeah.
the people who want to be in it out.
100%. 100%. So, I also wanted to do a little follow-up about our whole conversation about abuse in the industry. Super
From
cheery
last week.
conversation from last week, yes. Because this week we both saw Priscilla. And it honestly made me feel really freaking great.
Directed by Sofia Coppola.
Yeah, because written and directed by a woman. I mean, she is a Nepo baby, but that's okay. I guess sometimes Nepo babies can slay.
I mean, so many people are that it's like, it's not like notable.
Yeah, 100%. But I just felt like so excited because I feel like I left our conversation feeling kind of like sad.
Dejected.
Yeah, just like the state of the industry and like I feel like nothing's really changed after Me Too and like whatever. And how abusive men are always gonna just like be powerful, whatever. But I loved Priscilla and I just felt so happy because I was just like, what a freaking power move that a year after Elvis comes out and freaking blows everyone away with Austin Butler's stupid freaking I didn't like Elvis. I don't know if you can tell. I didn't think it was that good. But Priscilla comes out and shows the world who Elvis really was. Like, he was a fucking groomer.
Okay, well, I think it's crazier. Did you see how Lisa Marie Presley, before her death, she saw, like, cuts of the movie, not the final product, and she was like, I very much dislike this. You really painted my dad out to be, like, something he's not. Like, he's, like, this manipulator and this abuser. But it's so ironic because, like, it's her mother. It's adapted from her mother's memoir. So it's like she's just kind of just, like, calling her own mom a liar, I guess. Because, like, Priscilla signed off on it and was like, this is true to my experience.
100%. Yeah. And
because nothing was, like, that outrageous in terms of, like, like, that we didn't already kind of know about Elvis and, like, Priscilla. So I'm confused why Lisa Marie was so, like, it's not like we saw him, like, do something nobody had ever thought he did.
Yeah, I think that it's also like her dad died when she was 8. Like, she didn't really know her dad.
No.
Which is like, I feel a lot of empathy towards that. Like, that's sad. But like, it just sounds like she
doesn't.
Wrap
There's.
her head
There's
around
rose-colored
the
glasses she
reality.
has on.
Yeah, but like, because I was looking into it after because I was like, oh, like how much of this like is actually true to history, and so much of it's like compared to the memoir, like word for word, what
Yeah.
Priscilla said, he said, and
I
like
think it's
whatever.
probably far more accurate than Elvis actually was.
Yeah.
But that's like, I mean, Baz Luhrmann loves to take things above and beyond. So that doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me. Well, so I think it's interesting you say this is like, I definitely agree with you that like, I'm happy that it's almost like we're getting these dual perspectives. But I would not say they were given the same treatment in terms of like
No, that's
release,
true.
money. But also, not to be Debbie Downer over
Yeah.
here, you know, Sofia Coppola is like a very established name with a very established father. And she was like, it was such a struggle to get funding for this film. And like, they had to like, you know, oh God, I can't remember what it was. But it was like, they had to like do these things themselves to like save money.
Yeah.
And she even commented, she was like, if somebody like me who like, you know, has been in the industry for a long time and like has successes can't find this level of funding, like I don't understand how, you know, these young people are doing it and like why.
Yeah.
She was like very perplexed by that as well. And I'm also very perplexed by it because it's like, why aren't they giving Sofia Coppola money
Yeah.
like for her
Well, I
projects?
think it's because of like I at the nail salon that I work at, I was talking to a client about how I was gonna see the movie. She was like, I just saw it and it was so crazy because everyone in the audience was so freaking pissed off after, and I was like, what? And she was like, I saw it in Pennsylvania. It's different. And I was
I
like,
didn't realize Elvis still had like such ardent fans, like that it
I
was
think
like you're tarnishing his
so.
legacy.
I mean, like I feel like it's like Michael Jackson of like this like really iconic figure. Like no one wants to face the fact that like they were just freaking abusers. Um Anywho,
But
what was
like,
I gonna say?
I mean, it's just I don't understand that level of even thinking of like, oh, because they sang really good and I liked them, they can't have done anything wrong.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's really stupid. But I think that like that would make a lot of sense for like especially after Elvis freaking like whatever. I don't know the timelines of both of these productions, but
Yeah.
just like it makes sense that funding was hard to get because no one wanted to taint Elvis's
And yet
name.
Elvis made so much money that from a money making perspective, that doesn't make sense to me because you think they'd want,
Yeah.
you know, it's the perfect time to release it. You're writing the coattails of Elvis,
Yeah, that's true.
and then to have this come out when it's still relevant in people's memories, to me seems like money making, like financial sense.
Yeah. It's interesting because I would think that everything you just told me would make me sad. But honestly, it like really fills me with a fire where I'm
Oh.
like, yes, like I need to change this.
Yes.
I must do whatever I can
I'm
to
so
change this.
glad.
And I'm really hoping that
I mean, I have the same desire, you know?
yeah, 100%. Like I feel like I'm hoping that because it did get made despite all of its trials and tribulations, that more stories like this can be made, and like
Yeah.
stories like Priscilla, Promising Young Woman. Like I feel like we are seeing more authentic stories being told by women about abusive men. And I love to see abusive men's downfall.
True. Yeah.
True.
My goal is literally to have a production company that is centered around women's stories and
Oh.
also serves as like a sort of refuge for people who want to be in the industry and have like just like no clue. And then like, you know, starting from internship and like promoting within those classes like up, as opposed to being like treating them like something to be discarded at the end, like a reusable, renewable resource, as opposed to
Yeah.
like keeping them within the family.
Bro, I love it. Count me in.
Okay. So should we talk about When Harry Met Sally?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so first, do you want to give a brief summary on it to anyone who has not seen it?
yeah, so When Harry Met Sally, it was made in 1989, directed by Rob Reiner.
I really thought you were going to make a Taylor Swift reference.
I don't know. I don't have it in me. I am actually so surprised that I didn't think about Taylor Swift when I just said that.
I'm so
right
proud
now.
of you. It's the first step.
I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of myself. Anywho, When Harry Met Sally, 1989, directed by Rob Reiner and written by Nora Ephron. It tells the story of Harry and Sally. Can you believe that?
Barely.
But yeah, basically, first Harry and Sally meet because they are road tripping. They're what is the carpooling together.
Yes, to New York City.
From the University
And
of
they
Chicago.
do not like each other. They do not leave that trip liking each other.
They hate each other.
Flops.
So that's the first time they met. The second time they meet is
5
on an
years later.
airplane. 5 years later. They also do not like each other.
Yeah.
But they are both in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Harry's about to get married. Sally is not. But she is in a relationship.
Yep.
And I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. Because I don't want to give it away.
General, yeah. So they're friends for, I think, 12 years, right?
Yeah.
Where am I getting 12 from? I don't know. They're friends for a long time, and the whole debate that they talk about is Harry believes that men and women can't be friends if either of them are attractive, essentially. And Sally does not believe this, as evidenced by their friendship.
Yeah.
And then it's a rom-com, one of the very first rom-coms, I think, in the cultural lexicon.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a pretty commonly known movie. We're not spoiling anything by saying that in the end they decide that they're in love. Yeah.
Anywho.
So I'd love to know a little bit why this is your favorite movie and like your history with it.
I love this movie. I don't remember the first time I saw this movie. Probably with my family, probably with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my mom was always just a huge Nora Ephron fan. Like, we grew up watching Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, that sort of thing.
Nora Ephron co-wrote and directed both of those, by the way.
So good.
Yeah.
Always been a huge fan of Meg Ryan. And then I watched it during COVID times, during the pandemic, and it kind of reawakened my love for When Harry Met Sally. I just feel like, as a writer, I just feel very deeply inspired by it.
Yeah. It is very well written.
It is very well written. And I feel like this is something I was going to say. I think that I took a playwriting class once.
Ooh.
And something that my playwriting teacher said that, I mean, I'm sure is not unique to this man, but slay anyway. He said that plays are all about the words, whereas movies are all about the images. But I would say...
What?
Yeah. So that's the difference between plays and movies. Is plays are all about the written
all
word.
about a stage. And films are all about a screen.
Yeah. No, like, you know what I mean.
Yes, I do. It's like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like movies are all about each individual frame.
The frame telling the story versus like the words and the plays, what's most important, I would say.
But I would argue that When Harry Met Sally is all about the words, because so much of that movie is the two of them or whoever having very in-depth conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I think the writing is great, and it makes me cry every time.
You cried?
Bro.
I did not cry.
I wept at that.
I was going to say, it in what you were saying about the words, it has a very Before Sunrise-y feel in that sense.
Oh, I haven't actually seen Before Sunrise.
Okay, Before Sunrise, literally, like, nothing happens except, like, it's just, like, these very in-depth, vulnerable, philosophical conversations between the two main characters, and, like, they fall in love.
Yeah.
So, it's similar to that in that vein, where it's, like, very, like, it would lend itself well to theater.
Yeah.
So, I did watch this movie prior to this watch, because it's very stressed in NYU Tisch, like, as like to be studied as a script. Words. We're wordsmiths, guys. So I had watched it when I was in college, but I didn't remember it like at all, which is why I was like, I feel comfortable saying I haven't seen it, especially not like, you know, knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
So I did really like it. I mean, it's so cute. I literally I have a note. I like take like live notes as I'm watching, and I have a note that just says, I forgot how cute it is and now I'm sad. And I was like, it is so cute.
Yeah.
But can I say something controversial? Controversial.
Please.
Well, I have two controversial things.
Yeah.
I don't like Billy Crystal in it. I don't find him like compelling. I find him very like one-dimensional. I like Meg Ryan to me is giving me so much.
Yeah.
And she's so adorable, and like she brings so much to the character. And he's kind of just bringing like nothing. It's kind of like the same look the whole time. Also, he's 41 years old when they film this. And during this movie, he plays a 21-year-old, a 26-year-old, a 30-year-old and like a 32-year-old.
Yeah, he looks 41.
He looks 41 and she's 28. So it's not like, an irresponsible age gap. It's definitely something to note. Cuz also when the first scene when you meet them in college, he walks in and I literally was like, is he wearing a wig? What is on his head?
I think
When
it is
he's
a wig.
yeah, it has to. It's like the worst wig ever.
Yeah. Yeah. It is really funny. I honestly this is the first time watching it that really actually did take me out where I was like, wait a
How
second.
old is this man?
Yeah, because I guess every time I've watched it, I've either been a youth or in college myself, and so I always thought about people who have recently graduated from college
They just
as
look like
being
that.
old.
No, it's because he's just old.
You look so old.
Yeah, especially men. Like, I feel like men don't look that old until they're that old.
Yeah, 100%.
The other controversial thing I have to say, the whole crux of the film and like the debate around, because this is like when Harry Met Sally definitely like harpooned this question of can men and women ever be friends, and like that's what introduced that kind of question to the collective consciousness of the world. But I would argue they were never friends.
No.
No. Hear me out. They were never friends because he was in love with her from the beginning. Hear me out, okay? Literally, there were so many moments, and I don't know if this was actually intentional by Nora Ephron or not, but it feels intentional to me. Peppered in are like times when he's like looking at her, like he's like looking like he's in like she's amazing and he's in love with her. And that I remember I noticed the first one like pretty early on. And so I was like, "Oh my god, like he's in love with her already." I don't think he ever was not in love with her.
But here's my question.
Oh, and then I said, and then he gaslights her for the rest of the movie.
Here's the deal. Let's say, okay, we've been friends now for over 5 years.
Me and you?
Yeah, me and you.
It's been that long.
Yeah. Or over 4 years.
I was going to say, I don't think it's been that long.
Whoa. But if I was secretly in love with you, that still means we're friends. It doesn't matter if I'm in love with you.
No, okay, I'm misconstruing what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they were friends.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the question was never like, can two people just be friends? Because they were never just friends.
Okay.
I mean, they were like, literally. But I'm saying like, I think from the beginning, he was always in love with her and going to fall in love with her. It was never like, the question has been bastardized from what the film is, in my opinion. Because it's like, now the question has become like, can two people who are only ever friends, like, stay friends?
Yeah.
Versus, like, in my opinion, he was into her from the beginning.
Mm.
And then they were friends. And then he was like, oh, I'm in love with you.
I don't know. I don't know if I even agree with you that he was always into her.
This is why I'm saying it's controversial. There will be many sects of belief.
Yeah. Because I think he always thought that she was attractive for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that he genuinely, like, I think there was a moment when they're in Central Park and it's like the cover
fall.
Yeah. When it's fall. When it's the poster. And she asks him, do you want to go to dinner sometime or lunch sometime, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he says like something about friendship. I don't remember. But she looks sad. And she was hoping that they would actually like go on a date.
Maybe. But I think he was there first.
Yeah, but I think he genuinely was still recovering from the divorce in a way where he wasn't interested in her. Anywho.
Perhaps. But I'm going to bring back. Okay. At the end, he's like, he goes in that whole little monologue about like, I love how you order everything on the side. And like, I love how you scrunch your nose. And like, you get a little thing here when you're annoyed with me.
Yeah.
When did he start loving those? Like, all of a sudden? No. Like, it's something I feel like when the scene first happened, like when she first ordered all those things on the side, he was like, that's so cute.
Yeah.
And then he just like, it's been like lingering underneath so that when he's like, wait, I love you. And he's like, I love how you do that. I think it's like, he just went all of a sudden, he was like, I love her now. I think it's always been there. It's just like, he kind of like had to sit up and realize it.
Yeah. I don't know if he always knew it.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
So I guess we are in agreement in a way.
I guess it's the knowledge of it that
Do you think men and women can be friends?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I'm also friends with even like attractive single guys.
Yeah.
And like we're still friends.
Yeah, I totally think so. I mean, yeah.
But also like why did they never consider, maybe it's very 1989 of them, but like why did they just never consider being friends with benefits?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Because then it would be a different movie. It
It'd
would be
friends
friends with
it
benefits.
literally.
Or no strings attached.
Or no strings attached, which are
The same.
same question.
Yeah.
But I would actually be kind of interested to see a movie that deals with this question, like an adaptation of this that answers it in a different way, that says they're just friends actually.
Yeah.
I feel like we need more bookstores back in movies.
Oh my god.
There was a scene in a bookstore and I was like, oh my god, yeah, bookstores, like in movies. Because also in, is it You've Got Mail, where she owns a bookstore?
Yeah.
So but I feel like I watched it and I was like, when was the last time I saw a fucking bookstore in a film?
Yeah.
Not often.
Question.
Like, I guess it's because the culture around it has changed where people aren't like hanging out in bookstores, but like I am.
Yeah. I love a bookstore. Oh, actually. What's that? Dash and Lily? Did you watch Dash and Lily?
I did not. What is that?
It's I think it was maybe originally a book. I think it was a book, but it was recently made into a mini series on Netflix, and it's like a holiday special, and The Strand is like a central part of that book, or of that mini series, where he leaves a red notebook in the Strand. Oh, or maybe she does. I don't remember. One person leaves a notebook in an aisle of the Strand.
Okay.
The other person finds it, and it leads them to having this like scavenger hunt of, I don't know, love.
Cute. We need more of them.
Yeah, but the thing
That's not
is,
enough.
I will say that in this mini series / book, it's really like a thing of like, oh, like we're so cool, like we still go to bookstores, we're so
I
well
hate that.
read.
I don't want it to be acknowledged.
Yeah, like it's very much a like we are unique in that we go to bookstores.
Do you want to talk about how amazing Carrie Fisher is in it?
Oh my god. Also, I love that we watched Singing in the Rain and then we watched When Harry Met Sally.
Oh my god, yeah.
Now we gotta watch something
we're watching
that Billy
multi-generational Nepo babies.
Yeah. I love Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher is truly like, I love her so much.
Yeah.
Her memoirs are also so funny.
I need to read them.
They're so good. Because she's such a character. And you could tell in some of the writing, like some of her lines were some of like, the quippiest and the cleverest.
Yeah.
Cleverest.
I got what you meant.
Thank you. So yeah, it was so nice to see her, and I thought it was interesting too because it wasn't it was such a supporting role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I love that for her.
But her character in particular though is very like, her character is in love with a man who is married.
Yeah.
And the whole line is like, he'll never leave his wife. And everyone's like, we know. Yeah. We've told you this. He's never going to leave his wife. And they have a conversation one day at lunch, her and her two friends, Meg Ryan and Carrie Fisher and the third woman. And it's about how, like, Meg Ryan had just broken up with her boyfriend in it. And they're talking about marriage and how, like they don't want to be 30 and not married yet and how much it's stressing them out. And I was just watching it and I was like, I am so relieved that the conversation about marriage has changed, where it's not like, but if you're not married by 30, then like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
Because I love not being married, but I love that it's like, I don't ever feel, and I'm sure it's still something that like a sentiment that's still felt, or like people are still feel pressure to get married at a certain age. But I just love that I've never felt that through, like, my friends or family where, like, I go home and, my dad's like, ooh, like, when are you getting married? Actually, what the fuck am I saying? He literally says that.
Yeah.
I take that back. But he doesn't put pressure on me to do that. But it's just like, I'm just glad I don't have this, like, societal burden.
Yeah.
That's a part of the status quo that says, like, I have to be married maximum by the time I'm 30.
Yeah, but also we live in New York. Like, I know so many, like, I mean, you grew up in the South, so I did.
But nobody, like, none of our friends are like, about to get. I mean, none of us have the money to get married. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can afford a wedding.
Bro, actually, I've thought about this. Of like,
Yeah.
how does one even do that? That's
You
crazy.
don't. Yeah.
But we also, like, I feel like most of America is still, like, getting
On this
engaged
train.
in college or
Yes,
right
but
after.
is the societal status quo the same though? Like, I get like people are still doing
know.
it, but I don't think people are then like feeling inadequate in comparison.
Yeah, I guess it depends.
Because this takes place in New York.
Yeah, for sure. In New York,
Yeah.
that's not the case at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Thank God for
Thank
that.
God.
Because I'd be losing that race. You know why I think this movie works so well?
Yeah, tell me.
Because you truly don't know, at least for a first-time viewer, right? Like, I didn't remember anything about it. You truly don't know if they're going to end up together or not.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I was like, wait, I have no clue if they're going to just stay friends. Because, you know, they even like they have sex and then they're kind of like, oh, it's so weird now.
Yeah.
Or I was like, it easily could like swing back and forth and they're going to decide at the end to be just friends. And maybe this is because it's like one of the first early rom-coms. But thing is, like, you watch a rom-com now and like, you know they're going to end up together.
Yeah.
There's no question, no matter what obstacle is put in their way or like any plot device that tries to like keep your interest, you know it's powerless. Like, you know it's not going to stop them from getting together. Versus this, where you're like, like you're actually like, it's like suspenseful almost.
Yeah.
As opposed to those.
Because you really want them to be together. I'm assuming. I don't know if you felt this way.
I mean, maybe in terms of like just being a romantic, but like I didn't really care if they ended up together or not.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Like, they were cute, but I wasn't like, please kiss. Actually, I kind of was. Okay. I wanted them to kiss so badly, but like not like, that's just because of me.
I was gonna say what's really interesting about it is, okay, so we've all heard of freaking Save the Cat.
We have
stupid freaking
divisive
screenwriting.
book.
Yeah, books. But
it's a screenwriting book that like teaches
Yeah.
you how to write a screenplay, and a
Yeah.
lot of professors hate it. A
Yeah.
lot of students read it because we're desperate.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, is it useful or not? I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it's stupid.
I think it's stupid too.
Yeah, because it's like page 5, you must do this thing. Page 12. I'm
Yeah,
like, that's
it's
too
so
specific.
too many rules.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the title comes from Save the Cat. Is this man argues that you need to make your protagonist likable, and you need to have them do something that makes the audience on their side and like them within whatever page number he puts, like saving a cat. I would argue When Harry Met Sally.
I had no clue that's where the title came from.
Yeah, there you go. The more you know. I would say When Harry Met Sally, they start off as both being like the most unlikable people.
Yeah, they're not very likable,
ever.
but they're still charming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Harry is literally coming on to this woman, even though we know that he's seeing her like best friend.
Yeah.
And then Sally is going up to the waitress at this restaurant, at this diner, being like, I'll have this pie, but it must be heated, and like, obviously,
and if it's fake whipped cream, then no pie.
Yeah, like, she's being so annoying.
Yeah.
And yet, we're still rooting for them.
Yeah.
And we still like them at the end of the day. And I don't understand why. Nora Ephron, tell me your secrets.
Looking to the heavens.
Sorry, R.I.P. to
We cannot ask her. Nora Ephron did unfortunately pass away in 2012.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. So the character of Sally is based on Nora Ephron, and I knew that immediately because I have read Nora Ephron's collection of essays / memoirs.
Yeah.
And enjoyed both of them very much. But so I knew a little bit of her backstory, and Nora Ephron was a journalist.
Yeah.
And so as soon as Sally was like, I'm going to journalism school, I was like, girl, you just
That's
wrote yourself.
So cool.
So it was cute. I was totally like, oh yeah, she just wrote herself.
Yeah, and apparently Sally's pickiness literally comes from Rob Reiner, the director, and Nora Ephron, screenwriter, as we just said, were getting lunch or dinner or whatever, a meal at a restaurant, and
Mhm.
she was as particular as Sally is. And Rob Reiner was like, we must put that in the movie,
Yeah.
which is so
They're definitely,
funny.
I think it said like Harry's based off of Rob Reiner
Yeah.
and Sally's based off her. So it's just like it's two real people. And I think that attention to detail, like even the pickiness and stuff,
Yeah.
led to such great characterization.
100%.
Well, you know what it is?
Yeah.
I actually think it may be that like these are the things they've pointed out to us as like traits that make them maybe unlikable, right? Like or annoying in some way. But by the end, they flipped it to it's what they love about each other, right? Like it's what Harry loves about her and vice versa.
Ugh.
So I think they purposely do that, or at least, Nora Ephron purposely did that to like take us on that journey of like, why do we like them?
Yeah.
And then it's like because that's the journey that they're on.
Yeah. Wait, I love that. It's giving Eternal Sunshine. Of
We've
the Spotless
cracked a
Mind,
code.
but in reverse. Like at first you hate these qualities about a person, and then you grow to love them.
First you love them, then you hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the specificity. I think so much of the dialogue is so specific, and the way that the characters tell stories, like a lot of the movie it's interesting. Like I feel like you hear like show don't tell, but a lot of this movie is
They were just
tell.
telling.
Like
Tell.
when Harry's telling the story of his wife leaving him, like that story, I was so invested in it,
Yeah.
and we never even saw that scene take place. That's interesting to think about.
It is interesting because they really do say, and like most of the time, show don't tell is the more effective strategy. So it is interesting that
because it's such a character driven piece, and I feel like him telling the story of how it happened shows more about him and is more character driven than just seeing it. I don't know.
well,
It's
maybe
interesting.
also it works because then later when we do
Yeah.
have that, we have where they run into his ex-wife and her boyfriend,
Yeah.
where like we know of them through Harry's story as opposed to seeing her first in real time.
Yeah, but we also don't see Sally break up with Joe. We hear her talk about that. We don't see Sally and Joe talking on the phone when Joe tells her that he's
I
getting
think
married.
because you know why? I would guess it's because that's how friendship is.
Yeah.
And the focus of the film is like their friendship.
Yeah.
Versus and the person's like not there for those things. So they're literally like, if I were to have a breakup, you wouldn't be in the room with me. I would tell you about it afterward.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think they decided to focus on that aspect of friendship.
Yeah.
That those conversations.
Okay, I also wanted to say, talking about friendship.
Oh.
A lot of Harry and Sally's relationship and friendship was based off of Billy Crystal and Rob Reiner's friendship,
Yeah.
which I think is really cute.
Yeah.
I'll read this from the IMDb trivia. In the scene where Sally and Harry appear on a split screen talking on the telephone while watching,
read about this.
Yeah, watching their respective television sets, channel surfing was something that Crystal and Reiner did every night. I thought that was
so cute of them. That's so like 80s coded of like it's like their FaceTime.
Yeah. And I don't know if anyone else has this conundrum, but I feel like as a writer, I don't know why I've set this like expectation of myself that like the most creative you can be is something that like you just imagine and that like just comes to you from, I don't know.
Yeah, like an original idea that's
Yeah.
totally separate from anything you know.
Yeah, versus I feel like typically the writing that I do is very much based off of my own life and comes from something within myself.
Me too.
But I always like hate on myself for that. Like I always think I'm like, oh, I'm going too easy on myself. Like I'm not being creative enough.
But I think that's what makes it the best usually.
Yeah.
Is when it
right?
has, because like people are so specific
Yeah.
that like a lot of times you can't, like always like you can't make this up. Like
yeah.
you can't make that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think about some of my work, like a lot of it I haven't lived, and yet I kind of imbue my character with something of mine. Because otherwise, like, how do you? This is why I was gonna say, how do you like relate to them if you don't put some of yourself in it? Which is also, I think, why men fail so miserably at writing women most of the time. Because they're just like, oh, it's a woman, she has a face and 2 legs and nothing behind that pretty little brain. You know what I mean? Like they don't know how to like put themselves into a woman.
Yeah.
Literally.
Got him.
When it's like when you focus on like the parts that are like specific to you, that's when like
Yeah.
it's most compelling, in my opinion.
100%. And I
Like,
feel
you
like,
shouldn't beat yourself up about that.
yeah,
That's what
I
everybody does.
I'm trying to work on it, but I feel like When Harry Met Sally is just a great example of like all of these little bits of this movie that I love so much come from real life and real people, and
Yeah.
that's why it's so good. And I think it is really creative
Yeah.
using these bits of real life in this specific
To make
way.
a story, it's almost like how, to me, that process reminds me of like the Mamma Mia movie. How they were like, okay, we have all these ABBA songs.
Yeah.
How do we link them in a way to make a film?
Yeah.
How do you link all your little quirks and life experience in a narrative storytelling frame?
That seems so fun. I want to make Mamma Mia.
Too late.
I'm gonna rework Mamma Mia. I'm just gonna take the ABBA songs.
I feel
and
like
then
there's
remake
definitely
it.
a way, like there's another story in there you could definitely make with all those
Heck
songs.
yeah. Anyhow,
Let me call up Bjorn. And
I love that name.
Bjorn.
Hey you.
And Barry of ABBA.
What was I gonna say?
Well, can we talk about how this is Meg Ryan's first leading role?
That's
She's 28 years
crazy.
old in it,
Okay. Also.
which is crazy because also like 28 first leading role.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays people would view that as like, oh, that's a late start.
Yeah. Wait, that's so true.
But like, hang in there, kid. She was 28.
Thank you so much. But to be fair, she was also an NYU dropout because
Why?
she starred in a ton of commercials and then she landed a
Top Gun?
No, she was originally in a soap opera called As the World Turns.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so she dropped
Very
out.
famous soap opera.
Yeah. So yeah, and then she did Top Gun and then she did I feel a little bit behind her, but that's okay.
But why? How old was she when she did Top Gun?
Top Gun came out 1986. So it was probably filmed 1985, which means that was 3 years before When Harry Met Sally.
I was going to say, to be fair, though, like, soap operas back then were, like, that was everyone's, like, launching pad. Like, so many famous people were on soap operas. So, like, I mean, if you need, like, if you want to view it through a different lens, I'd say, like, you finishing college is almost, like, a similar vibe.
Yeah. It did make me feel better. Like, Billy Crystal, I mean, he was freaking old at that point. But, like,
ancient.
he went to NYU. He went to NYU for film
Mhm.
and television.
But he was mostly big in comedy at that point, yeah?
And then he was in a comedy trio with 3 of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
He worked as a substitute teacher.
It's always
in
3
Long
white men,
Island.
man. They're always in a comedy trio. Always if you see 3 white men, they're probably
Hey,
in a comedy trio.
You don't know if they're white. Probably, but
I'm gonna guess at NYU in what, 1954 or something?
Bro, he's old. So old.
Yeah, he's
He's
like
so
in
old.
his, what is he, in his 80s now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he became a solo act. I love Rob Reiner.
He kind of like didn't do another like after When Harry Met Sally because he'd already done Princess Bride and stuff. He kind of didn't do another like he kind of stayed in comedy.
Billy Crystal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
What else has he done?
I know he
Bro.
hosted the Oscars a bunch of times.
Heck yeah, he did.
Oh, Mike Wazowski.
Bro, can't forget Mike Wazowski.
What do I mean? No serious roles. Only small parts. No, only small actors. No small parts. Yeah. So he didn't really do any more.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Serious stuff like this. I mean,
That's
this is
pretty
not serious.
interesting.
There's definitely comedy in it, but you know what I mean.
Also, I love Rob Reiner's career.
I do too.
Also, I'm repping him right now because he went to UCLA.
Oh
And so I'm wearing a
my gosh.
UCLA, I can't speak. UCLA sweatshirt right now.
Love that.
Anywho, there you go. I just love that he went from directing The Princess Bride and When Harry Met Sally to being Jess's dad in New Girl.
Yeah, I love his little like bit part actor
Yeah.
trajectory part of his career.
That's like that's my dream. That's my dream career right there.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So yeah, that's When Harry Met Sally. I
That's When Harry
definitely
Met Sally.
When Harry Met Sally, they fell in love. ... They fell in love. It definitely made me wish like I lived in like 1980s New York.
Really?
Yeah.
Like in what way?
Like even just the way of communication. Like I did like the way like, you know, they had to call each other on the phone every night. And like I don't know, I think people were like going out to breakfast more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
It's so I
fun.
have like that whole what's that like it's like that symptom like where it's like you always think the times before you are
Yeah.
like better, but then the people in that era would have said another time is better. Like it's never like the
Yeah.
person's like satisfied in the time.
I
The
mean, it
grass is
is,
always greener.
yeah, the communication is definitely interesting. Although I will say that it made me think about the new iPhone update where you can see what people are saying when they leave you a voicemail.
Oh yeah.
And did you see that someone on Twitter was like, or on X, whatever, was like, this is gonna make voicemails so much more romantic now because it's like the thing of like before with voicemails they would just play, so people, it was what Harry did where he was like, Sally, pick up the phone.
Mhm.
But now that doesn't happen anymore because you listen to a voicemail after it's been recorded. But now it
Yes.
pops up on your phone as someone's saying the
So it's like a
voicemail.
text message though.
I know, so it's not as romantic because it doesn't get the
See, I
tone
would prefer
now.
like an answering machine. The
Yeah.
drama of that, of me listening, picture this. I'm ignoring a man
Yeah.
in my apartment and I'm home and he keeps calling and the answering machine picks up and he's like, Layla, please, like blah blah blah, and just like I'm hearing him and I'm slowly being convinced. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
such drama in that.
But I feel like I always think about myself on the other side. Like I'm not a fan of this like seeing what people are saying because I feel like I always fumble and I always need the option of like being able to delete the voicemail and then re-recording it because
Yeah.
I've said some stupid things.
Oh.
Like there was one time, this isn't even funny. Like this is just like stupid. Where like I called like a doctor's office or something, and I was like, "Hi, this is Mariah Burke," and then I just like panicked and I just hung up because I just said my last name wrong. So it's just like it'd just be people looking at their
You went
phones and
Mariah
like,
Burke.
and it's just like, oh fuck, what have I done? What have I done? And you're just like looking at your phone as
You had that
serious typing
Oppenheimer
as-
moment with the face of like when he's like looking at the water.
Yeah,
Did we destroy the world? I think we did.
that's me.
Yeah.
That's me when I
Mariah
leave a
Burke.
voicemail.
So let's talk about our goals for next week
Heck
that
yeah.
we want to hit.
Ooh, that's a good question.
It is a good question because
Yeah,
I want to switch mine up.
Yeah, okay. Why don't you go first? We're playing footsie for those listening.
For those listening, Mariah and I just had sex.
We've been having sex this whole
You
conversation.
would never know. We have amazing breath control. Okay, so I'm going to switch up my goal because my goal last week was related to this one project, and I like to work on multiple projects at a time. So I'm going to relate it to a different project to actually incentivize me.
Okay.
The script I'd mentioned that I'm working on about a fictional musician, because I don't have that software on my work computer, I just don't really work on it a lot. But I really I'm passionate about it and I love where it's going. So I want to make sure I'm getting my time spent with that little child of mine. So I'd like to have I want to have 30 pages written
Okay.
of that.
Amazing.
That's my goal by next week. So I think
You
I can
got
do it.
this.
What's your goal?
Oh, I need to reach out to my former professors and just literally all of my industry connections
Yeah.
to ask if they know of any.
I remember when I was here.
Yeah.
I did this before I got my job. So this is
Yeah.
about where you are, actually. Like we
Yeah.
were in the same spot.
Which makes sense, I guess.
I got some responses and lots of people are nice.
Yeah.
It's not that helpful.
Yeah.
Do it.
I think it will just be good for peace of mind.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or even get some advice.
Yeah. Good
Everyone's
old-fashioned.
advice, by the way, I've been taking so many meetings with agents in my company just to almost like generals of
Yeah.
hey, I'm this person, you see me every day, but here's what I want to do and blah blah blah. Literally all of them are like, you're gonna have to move to LA. And I'm like, okay. But what if I don't want to?
Yeah.
Because I get it. All the business is there. But don't you think it's perpetuating the problem that all the businesses in LA, if everyone moves to LA and continues to?
Yeah.
Because they've been telling me that people move to LA, establish their business, and then come back to New York. I'm like, well, what if you could just do that all here?
That's so silly.
I get that the business is centralized around that area, but like there still is business here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I'm not going to move to LA until I feel like I've exhausted literally every option of trying and nothing's working.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, okay. And even then, of course, I'll only do it with like if I had a job lined up.
Yeah.
But I don't even have yet like I have some friends in LA, not nearly enough to feel comfortable like moving to a whole new place. I like just got comfortable here.
Yeah, I feel the same way where I'm like, I finally settled in post-grad life. Like, we have our friends,
Yeah.
we have our apartments, we have the whole thing. I don't want to have to redo that in
No.
a whole new city.
I have 2 cats, man.
Yeah.
How am I getting them to freaking LA?
And I feel like it
Drain.
has to be possible here. It has to.
I mean, it is. That's the thing. It's just like,
It's just harder.
it's harder. So a lot of people are like, well, peace.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Heck
And you
yeah.
can do it.
And you can do it.
You can do it too. Anything's possible if you just believe.
Heck yeah.
And have a lot of money and parental connections.
One
yeah, if
day.
you're listening to us and you have nepotism, baby, what are you doing? Go make something. You don't need to listen to this.
Good for you.
Yeah. Next week, make sure to tune in if you like Christopher Nolan, because we will be talking about one of my favorite movies, Interstellar,
I've never seen it.
that Mariah's never seen, which is crazy to me.
I'm so excited.
Such a good
It's
movie.
just one of those movies that like everyone my entire life has been like, watch it. And
I'm
I've just never
so
watched it.
thrilled for you to see it and to hear what you think about it.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you
and
for tuning in.
Oh. Ooh.
Synchronicity.
And we will see you next week
Yeah.
on Manic,
Manic
Pixie,
Pixie
Dream
Dream
Women.
Women.
Bye.